Well, the Carrington and Clark eye poke saga continues. There's new information. Both players have spoken today. I've had more time to digest the footage. And whenever I'm in a scenario where I've had more time to let my thoughts marinate, when new information comes to light, I want to be as fair to the players as possible. And I also want to be fair to my audience because that is the type of community I want to build. And I think it's better all around if that is the discourse instead of just being biased and looking at things through one lens. Let's kick it off with Carrington, who was interviewed today by a reporter during practice shoot rounds.
Dijonai,
Yeah.
did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened.
All right, so let's walk through the claims in this as well. So she claims that she was making a play on the ball. After I've had time to review the footage, as unnatural as the claw hand looks in the one angle that is going around that makes it seem really, really bad and it looks bad from that angle, there's a few things that happen that kind of trick the eyes. It's a perspective thing, and things that the more I've looked at it make me think that this actually was unintentional. As silly as it is Carrington capable as an athlete, as a pro athlete? Sure, maybe. But I always want to lean on the side of trusting that there is no ill intention where a mistake could have happened. So the two things that make me think this is, one, while it looks like in the one main view that is going around that her hands kind of close into a claw shape, or the cobra as I like to call it, you can see clearly from the main angle that her hands are still splayed as they come in. The other thing here that kind of throws off and makes this connection happen, and it's a crappy location for where it hits, but is the fact that Clark jumps as she passes, and since she elevates, that's what leads the hand that would normally not contact a player's face to contact the player's face. Incidental, that's kind of where I land on this, and I actually believe that Carrington was making a play on the ball. You can see her eyes follow the ball. Everything kind of points to that being true. Now, the next claim is, I didn't know I hit her, which that one's a little bit harder to believe, that you didn't know you hit someone with your hand, although maybe she did, but in the moment she's so focused on the game, and clearly she doesn't react. So you could read into poor intent and think that that's part of the act, or you can also look at it and go, hey, maybe she didn't know at the time and she's run up the court, and then after everything stopped, maybe she found out. But that's when it gets to the second part where the reporter goes on to ask, were you and Mabry laughing about this? I mean, I don't really think so. I mean, I can totally see a viewpoint of people that play against Caitlin Clark if you don't like her. However, where you might be joking about she flops on everything, although obviously no one's immune from flopping with these kind of refs. It's like you have to do what you have to do to get the call with these refs because they're so inconsistent. But regardless of that, I really have a hard time believing that statement just feels weird. Like maybe like in the moment after you directly hit her, sure. But as soon as any play stopped or Clark went over to the bench after that timeout happened, 100% someone had to be like, yo, you hit her in the eye. And that leads me to my second point of that kind of statement too, which is that nowhere in Carrington's statement, just like from a PR thing, statement's fine. You can tell that Carrington's trying to be very careful with what she says, and that's super valid. But I would expect if someone was asking this question and if I wanted to take the high road, the Clark move, right, is you just throw in like a sorry there, like, oh, totally didn't mean to hit her, sorry that happened. Or, she may feel that she got the shot and that was intentional and there was eye for eye happening, whatever's going on out there. You don't want to apologize. But the other classy thing you can do is just say, I hope she's okay. And that doesn't mean you apologize for anything. That just means, like, as a confirmed competitor to competitor, which I believe she probably does believe, is, hey, I hope that her eye's okay. Like, I don't want to be the person known for blinding Caitlin Clark. Like, that would be terrible. And Caitlin Clark is fine. Digesting the footage, listening to Carrington's thoughts, it starts to paint a pretty good picture of, hey, this is a thing, a basketball play. It happens. Basketball plays do happen. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of slow-mo that will make you think that it could be intentional. There's a lot of ways that you can create a narrative. And for me, it did rub me the wrong way, but it rubbed me the wrong way, not just because I thought it might be intentional. It was mainly because there was no call on the play. There's no procedure to cover for players when they get hit in the head. It's happened multiple times to Clark. People that Clark has guarded, they should be reviewed. They should be fouled. There should be a flagrant on the play. And that's more what I have issue with, especially if it starts to look as though like a player is trying to affect another player with potentially intentional foul or rough them up or take shots, which they have a history, yes. And Clark has a history of getting targeted. But in this case, I have to side with what the players say. And I got to lean towards, hey, this is probably unintentional. And you know everyone's watching this game too. So if anything funky happens game 2, you know it's going to blow up. So at this point, I think everyone's just being a competitor out there and trying their hardest. And at the end of the day, Clark also spoke on this, and I think that that's an important thing. And this is what Clark had to say.
Back on the play with your eye, what would you say to the crowd of people that think a hit like that was intentional and maybe even warrants a suspension?
It wasn't intentional by any means. You just watched the play. It wasn't intentional.
All right, thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Caitlin.
And yeah, you heard it from her own lips. She laughed it off. It's obviously not intentional. And if that's the case, then, you know, hey, if she's cool with it, if she has no ill will feelings, if she obviously thinks it wasn't intentional, who knows how much she has analyzed it? Probably not as much as her fans and other people that are looking at every angle. But at the end of the day, you know, if she's good, if the eye is good, if she's locked in, this is just a distraction. And I think this is a good step for Clark. And the fact that Clark could say it wasn't a basketball player, Clark could say it really sucked or continue to say things about it, but instead she's very clearly drawing the line of like, this wasn't intentional. And thus also throwing a line over to Carrington and being like don't send hate her way. It wasn't intentional, which is great from her. And it's what I continue to expect from Clark as the best PR trained player in the WNBA. End of the day, I think we can take situations like this and learn from it as far as being biased, getting caught up in the emotions of the game and what we may perceive with slow-mo. And I can be better about being more fair and slower on my takes, because after really digesting it, you know, I lean too much into feeling like strongly like this was intentional when, you know, from Clark's own words, it clearly wasn't, or at least she doesn't feel it was. And I get people that have that theory, but I also think it does a disservice to the game because it does send a lot of hate towards a player that probably doesn't deserve it. Now, I still feel strongly that there should be changes for the rules, that those things get reviewed and get taken care of. There deserve to be a flagrant on that play. I also saw some people talking about how the new angle was AI. I've seen the original footage from a fan of the Fever that takes footage every game and has angles, and it wasn't AI doctored. It's just the angle that the footage was taken at that made the hand look even worse. So I think we can put that to bed, that it wasn't an AI conspiracy. No one went that far in this situation. Although with that continuing, it is something that we should keep in mind. I think we should all be questioning things that we see on X. So with that said, I think that this can be put to bed. I look forward to an awesome game on Wednesday from the Fever. I'm glad Clark's eye is okay. And let's hope we get the dub when we bring it back to Gamebridge. And with that, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. Catch you next episode.